and gentlemen, to episode 169 of Peace Talk. We're trucking through the greater 100s here. And I'm actually grateful and honored to bring a most very special guest to speak with you all and to share her insights. This actually happens to be her first collaboration outside of just her channel. So definitely stay tuned. This is definitely going to be very juicy. All right. And outside of that, I'm surprised I haven't had this guest on sooner. I kind of assumed that we did, but yeah, just keep your mind open for the concepts we're going to speak on. Shout out to those of you guys in the live chat watching this live, or maybe you're watching the replay after, and like Angel 739 is saying, please hit the like. All right. Shout out to those of you who are coming from actually Dutchess Divinity's channel. All right. You guys are welcome here as well. And shoot, without further ado, I'd like to present to you the one and the only Dutchess Divinity. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. For those who aren't, that was a beautiful cameo, like right off the bat. Like, yeah,
that's Cortica. It's basically her show.
Is she a Leo? What does she have in Leo? What's her sign?
So she was actually found in a box in the woods. So they estimate that her birthday is May 10th. So she's a Taurus.
Rescue kitty. Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah. She's super sassy though. She probably does have Leo.
I mean, whether she does or not, that sense of timing was uncanny. She came to right as, oh, y'all talking? Let me see what's up. Over here.
She does that in like all my videos. She knows when the camera's on.
I love that. I definitely want to get a cat myself. I used to have a dog, and I've definitely had multiple different people kind of put that push. Yeah, it's time for you to have a cat. You should have a cat. I always believe that like they hold space for familiars. They can like kind of possess the or be a conduit, or they just kind of make one more psychic. What do you feel about that?
Oh, I completely agree. That's the first thing I thought when you said it. I was like, then you'll have a familiar, and also you'll have a lot more protection because especially when you sleep too, because like she will chase stuff out of my house, like stuff I can't see. She will sleep on me and stuff when I'm having nightmares. If I need to be grounded, she'll sleep on my feet. If I'm having like attacks on the crown, she'll sleep on my head. So yeah.
That's what's up. And
I also think it's funny that it's your 169th episode and I'm a Cancer. So I'm the 69th.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. And that leads to my next question. For those who aren't aware, love the henna or the tat on your hand. What is your sun, moon, and rising?
My sun is in Cancer, and both my moon and my rising are in Pisces.
So you're also Pisces rising. Okay, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I'm so watery.
Yeah, I love that. I love that too. One thing that I really love, that I've been wanting to study, and I'm gonna do a series about, and if I ever do a mini documentary, I will reach out to you. It's the High Priestess archetype. Men have it, but it's, I think, so much more pronounced in women, where your moon is on your rising. So technically, you embody the moon, which is the High Priestess, and that's the ruler of Cancer. So I always kind of, to see that as a Cancer sun, one is it's twofold. We know you embody divinity, which is why I love that you call yourself Dutchess Divinity. Like you literally are an ascended master. And then if we look at the archetype of the Pisces moon Cancer sun, that is the divine one. That is actually the goddess level priestess, or the collective individual. Yeah, and the people with their sun in Aries to Cancer, and then their moon from Sagittarius to Pisces are god level individuals. And that, whereas The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, is known as the Great One because he has Capricorn with the Taurus rising or Taurus sun. We see you have the Pisces moon with the Cancer sun. So Jim Jones has that. A lot of very legendary. Yeah, well, not the actual Jim Jones, the rapper Jim Jones, but like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like you do see a lot of legendary like characters with this. And one thing that I learned that the former middleweight UFC champion is also Pisces Moon Cancer Sun. I can't believe I forgot his name. Let me see. It's Israel Adesanya. He has that sun and moon. And I remember he was talking about how he unlocked God mode and was able to basically just see like the Matrix and just fight better. And I was like, that's his Pisces moon. Like he's actually freaking being able to phase and see through that. So I have a lot of questions for you, because when we look at the archetype of what Pisces made me respect water is that you have the trinity of water, holiness in Cancer, purity in Scorpio, divinity in Pisces. And Cancer really is so misunderstood, the waters that enable one to sense through feeling. A lot of this is part of the yin element. It's unseen, it's governed through mind and imagination. So when you now take Pisces, which is metaphysical perception, what is really interesting is that the Pisces Moon Cancer Sun can now see the unseen through their soul. And I'm very interested to know what it's like to embody that, to really feel, perceive, and engage with the whole world of the astral realm, the metaphysical entities, the metaphysical, and what it's like to be misunderstood, because that Pisces central energy is seen as nothing else but delusional. And I know that it might be difficult to go through, and I think it's really important that you have your platform to kind of help guide people along and show us what that looks like. So I know there's certain things we've texted back and forth that I want to kind of open up about, because that's just it puts into perspective what it's like to have that. But yeah, my first question is, what is it like to be able to see the unseen with your imagination and soul? What's that process like?
Well, it's a lot. And honestly, I do feel my whole life I've been pretty misunderstood. I guess I started seeing stuff as early as 2. When I started to really like express myself, I would tell my parents that I would see different spirits or different people in places of the house that like there was nobody there. And I would say really just like weird stuff. So I think I've been like this for as long as I can remember. And I felt alone for a lot of my life. And I do feel super grateful to have my platform now, because I've kind of always felt like somebody who, because I've lived a lot of life, and I do have like a lot of trauma too, which I credit a lot of my psychic ability to, because it's proven scientifically that people with trauma access different parts of their brain that other people who don't experience like life-threatening or life-altering experiences, they'll never access those parts of your brain. So I kind of think of it like in that movie Lucy, how she just keeps accessing and accessing. And I think that because of everything I've been through, I started to unlock these different like essentially matrix codes in my mind to be able to see the unseen even more than I was already predispositioned to be able to. And I also have a lot of near-death experiences. In fact, when I was born, I died. So like when I get my palm read, they will say, oh, your lifeline starts at the other end because you've died, you've seen the other side. So I think I'm really psychic because of that as well. But I do feel a lot more understood now that I have my platform. I feel happier because I've always kind of lived in my own world like any Pisces, I guess, would. But it's nice to have some people who can be like, yeah, like that spell word literally, did this or that. And one of the really cool ones that I had was I have a longtime client. She's awesome. And she's actually from Greece. She's like a first generation immigrant from Greece. And my Italian ancestors like really, really love her. And I always knew that they loved her because they would ask me to send her like graveyard dirt or different things like that they don't ask me to send my other clients. And her house actually flooded and the entire home was destroyed except her room. Like not a single drop of water touched her room. They couldn't explain it. Even in my car accident, I also got in a life-threatening car accident and they couldn't explain why I was alive. Like, So I've had these experiences that I can't explain, even like seeing UFOs and stuff. It's always when I'm by myself. So having my platform has been so helpful for me to have outside people be like, no, I'm watching it happen in real time. Like, this has changed my life. This has helped me. This has done, you know, whatever for them. And it makes me feel so much less crazy and less alone. And I've also been under so much spiritual attack my whole life. And now that I'm more savvy in my field and everything, I can pinpoint it and see it for what it is. And I don't question it, because back in the day, like, I'm going to be very real and very honest. I talk about this on my channel. I've been put in the psych wards. I've been, you know, told I'm crazy. Of course I have, because I have gifts that, you know, natural science doesn't recognize as real. Only when you get into like the quantum physics and everything, people start to recognize this as real, which that's the actual truth. But so, yeah, I've been under spiritual attack. I've been told my whole life I'm crazy. And yeah, it just feels good to have this platform now, to know that I'm not crazy, to know that sometimes when I'm feeling these things, like when I'm having these like intrusive thoughts or different things that society would label as a mental health issue or crazy or this or that, it's more than likely like just some sort of evil negative entity that's trying to pull on my light and steal my energy or stop me from doing something. So yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place now. But I also feel like the spiritual attack like never ends.
So I want to deconstruct that, because you spoke on a lot of very important themes. I see you have Saturn in Aquarius in the 12th, and you mentioned you were in psych wards. The 12th house is mental hospitals, prisons, isolation, and so we see Saturn of like literal systematic control.
You wouldn't believe the things I've seen, Michael. Like,
the 12th house is also hidden. Okay, so put a book note on that, because that's very interesting. And then the 12th house is a house of hidden enemies. And I was going to ask, with Saturn there, you did mention that I've always wanted to, my theory was that Saturn in the 12th is that government agents are your hidden enemies. And then at the Aquarius level, it's this out of this world, almost alien frequency type of attack that can also, you know, attack in the dream. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm so glad you mentioned that correlation with being, you know, having to deal with doubts about yourself that came from the collective, from other people that added to the doubt. And then you just had your Saturn return, you reclaim that power, you're coming in to become the divine being with Saturn and Neptune. It's beautiful to see. And one thing that the reason why I love talking to you and people like you is, as you mentioned, we're in a very materialist, reductionist society. So relative to what you represent, mainstream society and science does literally the opposite. It's going to focus more on the Capricorn, the system, the Virgo, the analysis, things that are based on real materials, things that we can calculate, things that we can measure. And now when we take what you deal with, which is entirely the opposite, things that are metaphysical, things that are not analyzed mathematically, but perceived through imagination, that opens up so much subjectivity. You're dealing with realms that aren't physical. So these people can perceive anything. And because of the failure of science and the education system to acknowledge this metaphysical realm as anything other than fantasy and science fiction, it's like an uncharted, undiscovered territory with vocabulary we don't know how to use. We don't know what to call these things. And I wanted to know how, in your describing of a negative entity that might be doing something or whatnot, what I've noticed with this is like people who are indoctrinated in this materialist reductionism will listen to that and be like, you're making it up. That doesn't make real sense. That's very vague. And it's unfair because we haven't been taught what language to call this. We haven't been taught how to exercise this. We've been taught it's not real. Now you're putting a whole bunch of people who are watery like you out of bounds, out of their element, in the earth element, being told that the gifts that you have are delusional when you're actually picking up on actual phenomena, even though it's metaphysical, even though it may not have that much of a real basis. And it's interesting to see that with quantum mechanics and other such fields, we're just barely starting to tiptoe into that realm where now in this day and age, there's picture proof of psychic ability being real, dream recall being real, intuitive ability being real. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, with Dreaming with Tess and her page and platform, with you specifically having people experience things real time. And we see this fight against the prevailing authorities wanting to claim the power of our acknowledgement and make that be like, oh, that's delusional if you think this or see this. So I kind of wanted to, first of all, point both ways, because on the other end of it, you do have frauds. You do have people who take advantage of the fact that, oh, well, this is an unseen realm, so I can make up stuff and then people will just believe me. But then you have the other side that just denies it completely. And so I'm very grateful that we have, you know, women and practitioners of integrity like you who don't use it to deceive others, but you're not also denying it. It's you're helping people realize they're not alone. They really do experience it. And this is very much so the next frontier. You know, Neptune's gone through your rising, and I've always theorized that, especially for the Pisces rising, that can make one a bit of a shapeshifter. And with Neptune here, have you experienced that in matching people's auras or being able to sense and perceive them? What's that like?
Like the shape-shifting aspect of it?
Yeah, like, do you feel like a shapeshifter or what?
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit, how I said that. So like I've kind of talked about how I'm an Ashira because I don't, okay, so I look at things a little bit differently than what like the research has shown. So like research will say that there was one entity named Ashira that came down, and you know, she was a part of Babylon, and she had wings like an angel, but she had talons like a bird, and sometimes she's pictured with like a beak or things like that. Well, I'm more on the end of things of that these are a type of species. So maybe it got recorded that there was one or two because one or two came down to the third plane of existence, the third dimension, but there's an entire species of them. So I see myself as an Ashira. I think of Ra. I'm a daughter of Ra. So Ra, the sun god from ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet. And when we think about ancient Egypt and ancient Kemet, we know about like the bird people and the lion people that they had on their paintings, or the Sphinx. And a lot of people say those were beings from the planet Lyra. Lyra was a planet that was destroyed actually by the same like reptilian overlords that are trying to destroy this planet. That's why so many of us have such a bone to pick, because we have this bone to pick throughout lifetimes, not just this freaking lifetime, you know? So I see myself as an Ashira. I see myself as an angel archetype. I know you see yourself in that way as well. And even when we think about angels, they're not typical like the Bible would show. Even like a biblically accurate angel is like wings and eyes. So why would we think that, you know, it wouldn't be some kind of bird person and they wouldn't have talons or beaks or anything like that? So I am an Ashira pretty much at one of my highest levels of my higher self. So my body typically looks like how the Ashira is portrayed. Now, I just did a spell with Venus Aphrodite, and I love her too. And I do have a lot of her archetypes in my look as well, like the long hair, my shape of my body, all of that. So I'm looking less Ashira right now. And I had said to you, I'm about to do this like working with Venus, and now I'm going to look like her. And I'm going to post a video on Instagram later tonight, and my body has shifted. And so I still have that, you know, Ashira look to me, but it's with that like Venus twist. And I also think as well, going off the idea of being a shapeshifter, the amount of times throughout my life, because of everything I've been through, I have had to shapeshift. I've had to shapeshift to save my life in different traumatic situations. I've had to shapeshift when, you know, one thing ends and another begins, whether it's like me having to leave school because of everything that I had going on, me having to leave. I was in like an abusive relationship for a while. I totally took on a form that I was being driven by the demon Nero. Nero, like the Roman something or other. He's like recognized as a demon now. But so I took on that form because my ex at the time was a reptilian shapeshifter that's eyes would literally go full black when he would like physically abuse me. So, and then I had to shapeshift out of that, and I have to keep recreating myself. And I'm also someone who, and I know we've talked about this before as well, that you said a lot of my help comes from people I don't know. And because of that, I've moved through a lot of different stages in friendships. So like even being in and out of the psych ward and in and out of these outpatient programs so many times, I have met so many people. Like when I look back on my life, I've probably met and connected with the amount of people that like a low-level celebrity would, just because I've had to move so many times, change who I am, go in and out of these programs. Like it's constant, and I'm in the middle of a shapeshift right now because we're in eclipse season, and this happens to me every year with Scorpio season. I fully fucking burst into flames and then have to fucking be reborn as the phoenix in this season every year. I expect it at this point, and it's been like that my whole life when I look back on it. So yeah, I'm constantly evolving, I'm constantly changing and shifting, I'm constantly unlocking new parts of my soul because I'm very old, and I do have the ability and gift to see past lives. So I'm constantly opening up and unlocking different parts of that. And the only consistency in my life is me, really. And in the last couple of years, it's been my family. My family and I did not used to be close, but I'm very blessed now to have a positive relationship with them at this point. So, yeah.
And that's beautiful to know that Venus is right next to your sun. Women who I've ever seen Juno or Venus on their sun, moon, or rising are fucking beautiful. Like it's just scientific.
Thank you.
You literally see Venus glow through you, and she's going through your seventh. It's something I've been wanting to study in different women's chart. It's a men's chart too. Obviously, beauty is beauty, but I mean, very beautiful. I love it. One thing that I've come to deeply respect about being a Cancer is there's the gaslighting that people kind of, overuse and be like, oh, you gaslighted me. You know what I'm saying? But then there's the real gaslighting that every Cancer faces, or just people with that energy where if you think what it's like to be a Cancer, Cancer is psychic power. So you are psychic in a world that does not acknowledge psychic ability. So you pick up people's moods, you're empathic, you literally perceive things, not physically. Like what people don't understand about Pisces is that it involves a bit of delusion in order to tap into, because you are looking at visual hallucinations that go beyond what the brain's critical mind can make sense of. Technically, it's an illusion, but that doesn't mean that you're not perceiving what you're perceiving. So when dealing with Cancer rising, suns, moons, I've noticed all of you have been at some level, even outside of psychic ability, even if we were just talking about nuances and microaggressions, very gaslighted, treated as if the reflections that you're experiencing are just in your head. The opposition that you have as a Cancer is Capricorn, the devil at its worst. And it's this very manipulative earth type power that's going to redirect everyone's focus to make you look literally delusional when you're actually feeling what it is you're feeling. And I feel like not only is it a version of courage, but I've been saying for years with Pluto and Capricorn, Cancers are getting attacked. They're getting knocked off. They're getting killed. And what's really wild about that is you confirmed a lot of that for me when you opened up to me about casually too. You said it like, you said it as casually as, it's sunny outside. But the whole notion of like demons possessing people to attack you, demons possessing people driving in cars to
my whole life.
And so you're going through that your whole life. I'm going through my Cancer progression as a Gemini. And that had me like, I don't know how you Cancers do it. It was during that direct opposition, a spirit, all right, that near fatal car accident I had was with a drunk driver who ran a red light. A spirit, obviously.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but my driver ran a stop sign.
A stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's what made me make it take a second. I know that I felt like I was targeted because the day that happened, I was calling out politicians by name in the live before, and the people, without me having to say it, were like, this is why you had to act. And like other people are coming to that realization. And that made me, with my experience, look at cancers, like you guys are going through something even more intensive. This is just me going through this, transiting through. Y'all who are born with this, going through this your whole life, and then you at the highest divine level of Pisces, so you literally can feel it unseen. It really speaks of how you perceive the world and the world you're in, and especially with a lot of the languaging and how freely and watery you are in expressing these things. This opens up for people to kind of respond like, oh, you're seeing stuff again, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll say it very casually in a way that, which I think is beautiful. I don't think you should change that about yourself, but you know, it inadvertently challenges these people's beliefs to really listen to you like you're actually experiencing what you're experiencing. And that's why I can appreciate breaking down a chart, because I shouldn't have to see the chart, right? But knowing that your moon is in Pisces helps me understand, okay, you're not just feeling these things, you're actually perceiving this in a way that's not only legendary, but beyond 99% of human beings and what they're able to perceive. And you can ask any Pisces, they'll tell you they have the same experience, moon in Pisces as well. And I think it's, you know, once again, amazing that you're able to share this platform, and as Cancer does, help people feel more comfortable, you know, being open about their experiences, sharing their experiences. But let's get a little bit juicier, because y'all, when I tell you Dutchess Divinity had me like running up and down my apartment reading her text messages, just because the way you put it into words confirmed for me a lot of what I believed psychic people like you experience. And that's how I knew you were telling the truth. The way you texted me too was amazing, because you're like, I can't tell this to anybody else, but I can tell you. And then you're going in on like, so I astral projected, and then I found the secret government agent that was spying on me, and I choked that bitch out, and I spit. And I was like, yes, go in. Like that made my whole day, because one, how casual you could just go in and speak about stuff that most people would be like, you're crazy. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, she had to tell me this, because like anybody else who was reading this would be like, yeah, this is delusional. As soon as I saw the first sentence, I was like, oh, she knows exactly what she's talking about. Like, yo, I know why you asked me. Like, it just clicked. And it also coincided with other experiences too. So yeah, could you tell us, first of all, can you tell us what it is like to have a secret government agent spy on you? Because that statement is, and I want to kind of show how 12th house Saturn, this is hidden in the 12th house. So like, it's hard to expose what's hidden in the 12th house, because you're the only one who sees it in your closet. And this can open up to people believe, oh, you're just making it up or whatnot. But it's a hidden enemy. It's a real thing. So like, what's it like for other people who may feel like they're going through that? And like, I want you to explain it, and then I want you to share how you know, well, not how you know it's real, but like how personally you process this, just for people who might be new to this as well, and they may be new to the concept.
Okay, so the first thing I want to address too is how you said I get gaslit a lot. I only was ever taken seriously in my work when I started to make money from it, and when I started to, oh, hi Lizzie, that's one of like my awesome subscribers that's commenting. But I only started to get respect for it once I started to make money, and once my business was successful. Because I've been doing this since 2019, and I was able to quit my other jobs in 2020 and just solely make a career out of this. And I think that if I was a fraud, like how you'd been saying, there are a lot of fraudulent people taking advantage of this mass awakening right now, I wouldn't still have the business that I have today. So I did start to get a lot more recognition, a lot more respect, and a lot more skeptics being able to at least acknowledge I'm doing something, quote unquote, now that I make all this money from it, because money talks. But yeah, having a government agent honestly is so fucking annoying. And I know you get it too, because you have them as well, and it's just like so annoying. Like my phone right now, the speaker on the front, like every time I get a new phone, the speaker on the front goes, and that's supposedly supposed to be a sign that like your phone is tapped. And like, I don't give a fuck. I just talk about this shit now because like, I've been in the psych wards. Like I said, I've been labeled crazy. I don't care. This is my personal experience. It's happening. Yeah. And also, like, anyone who wants to call me crazy and not support me, well, at the end of the day, are you here? No. At the end of the day, it's me and my family, like I said, and my very small handful of friends that I've kept during this time. And so I really don't care what people think, but I find it very annoying. Like, at this point, because I've had so many near-death experiences, I've almost, you know, died in really brutal, horrific ways so many times throughout my life that I just process it so easily now. So I'm going to tell you what happened earlier today. I was on my way because, like, they did not want this live to happen. And I don't care who people are like, oh, yeah, like, they care. Even Robert Kennedy, if you've been keeping up with his campaign, he was speaking about how if during the Panini, pull one from Blair White. I have a Blair White shirt on under this, by the way, too. And on this day in 2020, I was at a Trump rally. So I thought that was a funny correlation between all of this. But during the Panini, if you were posting about how you disagreed with certain, you know, protocol or whatever, he's like, you're on a list. Like, you are on a list. You're being watched. You're being monitored. And my sister applied for the CIA a couple years back. So I already know, like, that's a whole nother layer to everything. But at this point, it's just annoying. So I'm on my way to go get a massage. I'm chilling. I've got my hood up because I just felt like I had to cover my crown this morning. I felt a lot of, like, angst and annoyance in the collective. That's the other thing. I guess I think my moon is like 0 degrees or whatever, so I can always feel the shift in the moon. Sorry, what?
Your sun is 0 degrees and your moon is like 17 degrees.
Okay, so maybe that's because the 0 degrees in my sun. I am definitely I don't really know anything about astrology.
No, but that makes a lot of sense. Since it starts the solstice, it's like every season change, you'll be aware or feel a shift.
And I feel even when, like, the moon changes, like every couple days when the moon changes, I feel it, and I feel the collective so strongly. And today I felt a lot of collective angst and my own anger and angst as well. I woke up in the middle of the night, like, crying about something that I wasn't even dreaming about or anything. So I kind of felt like I was already under spiritual attack. That was at like 4 a.m. And then I woke up and I felt like it was coming. So I put my hood on and I'm driving and I'm minding my business, and this car in front of me, they always get me with the freaking idiots, the NPCs in the car. Every time I get in a car, anyone who drives with me can tell you this. People are, like, trying to hit me. They're, like, over the lines. One time I was in an intersection. This guy, I was going to turn. I was going straight through an intersection. This guy coming in this direction, he has a blatant red light and he comes screaming into the intersection when I have the green light, and he misses me by like this much. And he's just looking at me like he doesn't even know what came over him because he had a red light. And it's just constant. So I'm in the car this morning. I have an open smoothie, by the way, like a cup, just because I was running late and I just have it in a cup. And so I'm chilling. I got my hood on. The car in front of me is acting like an idiot, you know, going slow, then going fast, going slow, going fast. Then they start going really slow. They start going about 15 under. And I'm not getting mad. I'm on my way to a massage. I'm like, yep, I'm just going to let it be. And he slams on his brakes so fucking hard that I then have to slam on my brakes. My snacks in the passenger seat go flying to the front. My phone that's up on the GPS thing goes flying through the air. And this was like a moment of being like possessed by good spirit for me, like by my benevolent spirits. I literally catch my phone, like, want to talk about superpowers? I catch my fucking phone midair, throw it on my lap, grab the smoothie thing so it doesn't fucking fly all over my windshield, and I slam on my brakes. My brakes literally skid, and then I swerve, and by the grace of God, there's nobody in the other lane. Wow. And that person swerves over, goes to the side of the road, and when I'm slamming on my horn, by the way, there's a huge fucking truck behind me. They always try to get me with that. On the on-ramp, whenever I'm coming on an on-ramp, I have to look because two like 18-wheelers will always try to smush me when I'm coming on the fucking on-ramp. So there's a big truck behind me. So if I did hit this guy, I would have been fucking smushed. And so I look over and I'm slamming on the horn and I'm horrified, and he just has the most evil grin on his face.
No way.
I swear to God, he looks so evil and he's grinning. And I composed myself. I called my mom. I'm crying to her. I'm like, Mom, I just saw a demon. Because she's nice about it now. And she's started to wake up too. It's definitely in the lineage, because she had gotten V injured. And after both my parents got V injured at the same time, I was crying over them, healing them, thinking both my parents are going to die at the same time. And when I was healing them, I said, give my mother eyes to see, ears to hear, and a mouth to speak the truth. After that, her psychic abilities awakened, and she started to deep dive into the corruption of government. So I'm telling my mom this, and she's like, I believe you. I believe you. And I'm crying and whatever. I go to the massage. You won't believe what I see there. This is the first time I've ever gone. There's a picture of Archangel Michael, which I'll send you after. Yep. And I'm like, they don't want us to have this live. And so I go in there and I'm connecting with my spirits and my ancestors particularly. And I'm like thanking them. And they're like, nah, like you're going to fuck it up later. Like, it's going to be awesome. Like, use this, alchemize it. Alchemize that pain and fear and suffering and use it to like give yourself the energy to boost, you know, instead of letting it bring me down. Swear to God, Michael, on my way home. So I work with some, you know, I work with Baal. I also work with Asmodeus. They are jinn that are not to be fucked with. I also work with, I really like Arabian conjure, Shireen. She has a channel on here. She's like a witch of many generations. It's been passed down and passed down. Jinn are literally her relatives. So I could feel like my protective spirits, and Medusa favors me highly. And I was like, I could feel them ramping up. And I said, give him what he deserves. Give him what he deserves. Like, and then I did a little ritual when I got home. After I prayed all that, on my way home, within 10 feet of the spot that almost happened, there was on the other side of the road a fucking rear ending. And the car that hit the car in front of them looked like the car that did that to me. And it even had a passenger that looked like the passenger. I don't know if it was the guy, but either way, I felt like it was my spirits being like, he's gonna get it if he didn't already get it. So.
And I want to speak on that too, because on the surface, like I can just completely dismiss that and be like, that's a coincidence. Like just because.
Yeah.
But like that's where like that metaphysical, Pisces gives extrasensory perception. So in being able to perceive beyond the physical, I like how these subtle nuances through faith, or just not even having to do blind faith, it's like you can see these connections. And it's like a lot of it seemingly is left up to faith. But I mean, with understanding the science behind it, or at least the method, I think that was a very amazing way, because I've had experiences like that too, where they're very personal, they're very subjective, but they still do align. And just to answer someone's question, somebody had asked, can we talk about the difference between, let's see, it was actually is something that I've spoken on before, but I think it's great to speak on again. Basically, the difference between my truth and the truth. So personally, I've always liked to say that there's only the truth, right? But what I've kind of come to learn, let's see, there we go. What I've kind of come to experience and learn more so is the sense where, yeah, the truth is objective to where we all breathe air, right? Like if either of us stop breathing, it's true that we're going to collapse. But then like my truth could be a certain personal experience that's true for me, not necessarily. And I want to kind of break this down. True for me in the sense where it's still kind of objectively true, in the sense where within a 1 in 50,000th odd, I was able to hit the jackpot twice, right? That's my truth. It's something that's true about me that I can carry forth objectively. For example, my connection with Archangel Michael, that's literally my truth. I have the sun in Gemini, I truly believe that I have a connection with the angel, and how that kind of puts through is other people have seen my angel form without me having to tell them, oh, within a 24-hour period. That's what makes it my truth, because it's actually true and it's personal to me versus actually the truth. So I just wanted to kind of express that, because that's something that I've been coming more to really appreciate, how there's the objective truth, and then we have stuff that is specifically true to us, that even if it doesn't make the most sense on the surface, it's still true, so it's still going to translate through. And now I want to get to Matt, and then another thing too, honest mistakes and whatnot. What one thing I realized is in trying to explain the metaphysical, people try and make it different from the physical. So they feel like if something has a physical explanation, then that rules out the spiritual explanation. And they don't realize, as above, so below, everything that happens spiritually is going to express itself through the physical. So I've actually, in my old apartment, had this crazy experience where the fan was going one way and then it stopped in my face and then it started going the other way. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm being trolled by spirits. And people were trying to say, oh, it was just an electrical malfunction. Like it was, and it's like, yeah, it was an electrical short, but what caused the short? And like, if you were in the moment, you can just tell, like the way it just happened, it's like, who the fuck is fucking with me? And it was just kind of interesting. So just to kind of put that out there, people can kind of discourage y'all by trying to say, gaslight you by picking up a physical, you know what I'm saying, counterpart. And I liked how you explained the story. I think that was very simple, very powerful too. Like your ability to perceive that like that, I think is very understated. I think it's very easy for people to just dismiss that, even though you just, it can be frustrating to give people the sauce and break it down for them, but it's not the way they want it to be heard. But other than that, I want to go into the next section. So we talked about.
Can I just say something about that though?
Go ahead.
Because I think it's about, like, for me personally, I'm constantly putting puzzle pieces together and I'm always kind of scanning and doing things. And because of my trauma, I'm really fucking hyper vigilant. So like to address maybe it was a mistake. Like maybe they slammed on their brakes as a mistake. No, it wasn't, because I can see him looking at me through the mirror. I can see him acting weird. And then when he slams on his brakes, he slams on it for no reason and then pulls over into something that's not even a driveway. He has no reason to go over there. So it's like, I guess the idea is that I'm putting the pieces together. And to me, no, I don't know. I guess it could have been a mistake. No, but to me,
I interrupt, but I like that you said it, because I like to think I'm a bit naive. I feel like people like you see directly into their soul. So like
I do.
And then especially in the case where in my for example, it was honestly an accident for him, but I didn't look at it as him. I looked at it as the spirit within him. So that's where, even if it was an accident, I think what you saw was beyond the physical. Like you probably saw the spirit that was behind that. And that's why it's really hard to speak on, once again, because there's no literature for this. There's nothing that's really analyzed and broken down so that we can, because that's not the nature of spirit. It doesn't fit within our logic where this is that and this is that. Like everything is always changing. So I think we're gonna look back on these times as you kind of pioneering this field of the metaphysical and bringing language and whatnot to it. And like a genius, the thing about geniuses is that
which comes from genie, which comes from jinn, which is what we were talking about.
And I like to think Pisces sponsor the jinns too. So like you go with the Pisces. Yeah, that was interesting that you said that. But like basically, someone who's talented is going to be good at what everyone recognizes is real, right? Someone who has talent, they take what people are good at doing to the next level. But someone who's genius, no one even knows what they're doing. They don't get recognition like someone talented because they don't even know it's a thing until later. And that's kind of what I want to bring great honor to y'all as far as that. And so now my next question or point of topic, because for those of you guys who aren't aware, Nikki hooked it up, okay, with a dope package. I want to make sure not to dox both of us. But basically, you feel me? I'm very careful. Got the address there.
That's what our government agents are wanting.
Yeah, right. But basically, freaking, we talked about how the rational scientific community might approach this. Now let's get to the spicier stuff. Like, on the other end, you have religious people who are going to call you some demon, devil. You're talking about a lot of unconventional stuff, connecting with Baal, connecting with jinns, all these things that, me growing up conventionally Christian, I'm taught are evil. I'm supposed to look at this as witchcraft because we're going to be consulting.
It is witchcraft, just not bad witchcraft.
Well, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to. That's especially what I wanted to talk to you about. Like, I'm taught that witchcraft, period, is just bad. But I'm also taught that magic is just bad. And we know that, that's not
true. Astrology, some churches don't like astrology.
All churches don't like astrology. That's witchcraft to them. So, and we know that's not true. So this is where, I want you to talk to me as someone that has been completely indoctrinated, and I'm having to kind of walk with baby feet here. And first of all, before we go into that, what's that like as far as like, having to deal with people who think what you do is evil and that you're consulting evil spirits? Oh no, she thinks that the spirits are actually helpful. These are bad spirits. But if you were to ask these people how they know, this is just their belief.
Their perception.
You actually live it. So please, like, tell us more about that. What's the kind of
So I guess that kind of goes back to what we were saying about like your truth and the truth. And I think that, that's their truth. Like, as you said, like they maybe were raised a certain way or taught a certain way that's evil. But in my life, in my perception, the spirits that I work with, that I choose to work with, not the spirits that come after me through spiritual attack or anything, the ones that I actually genuinely either come to me or I go to them, like all they do is help me. I look at them as like employees. I look at myself as like the head of a corporation, and then I'm employing all these spirits below me. And I look at myself as a gatekeeper too, because I'm like networking. Like I have all these friends in the spiritual realms. And so I had a friend who was brought up Jehovah's Witness, and she always said, and she's like a really powerful witch now. And she always said that, she felt like the Bible said don't dabble in witchcraft because she said some people genuinely cannot process it. Some people genuinely cannot go and work.
Onto that right there.
Yeah.
You nailed it. That's it. Like that's really the truth. Before people kind of twist the verses to mean you shouldn't do it, the actual context basis of why you're not supposed to do necromancy and all that is because you have ordained priests who do that. And like, it's too much for the average person to process. So if you're trained to do that, God never tells the priest not to do that. It's just for everyone else. So that's why I feel like a priestess like yourself was probably called by God to do what you're doing, and we could see the evidence in your work. Please go ahead. I just thought that was very amazing.
No, thanks for interjecting, because I agree. And that's one of the huge problems I fucking had with every church I tried to join, was they don't like that I have answers I'm not supposed to have. They don't like that I have gifts that I'm technically not supposed to have. I completely destroy their structure. Like, so I had tried to join a church because my best friend from high school joined a Nazarene church, and they would call me an instrument of the devil. They told me that when both my parents got sick from the V, that it was my fault.
Wow.
Because I'm a tarot reader, and because I'm doing witchcraft, and so the devil is punishing me, and that my parents are going to die because I'm an instrument of the devil.
That's not even Christianity. It's just superstition. And I'm so glad that you are, and I like that she said you could believe in Yeshua. I like that she said Yeshua and practice witchcraft. One does not preclude the other. A lot of people don't understand that biblical text about witchcraft is 100,000% influenced by that time.
Jesus is a fucking witch. How did he make wine out of water? How did he make a million fish up here? He's a fucking witch.
You know what I'm saying? Or a god, you know what I'm saying? So personally, like I like how the language that we use is always different between cultures, and we may not realize we're talking about the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's what I love that you're bringing forth personally. I want to kind of touch on you had mentioned your truth, and this is where, in answering her question again, a lot of people say this is my truth when it's really their lie. You know what I mean? Like, some people feel like their truth is something that is true for them, that they want to believe. Like, I identify as a Czechoslovakian dolphin. That's my truth. But like, what makes something a truth is that it's actually true. So, for example, with the Archangel Michael example, like within a 24-hour period, two people who did not know each other saw the same thing. They saw my angel form, right? They've never met each other. That's how it's taking what I believe to be true, and it's now actually true because we see objective evidence, versus somebody saying, "Oh, it's my truth that you're worshiping the devil and your parents got the vaccine." That's a lie. That's not nothing verified. That's just a belief. So I kind of wanted to speak on that too, because a lot of people say that certain things are their truth, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's just their false beliefs, versus certain people who are doubtful about their truth and they need to believe it more because it's actually true. You know what I mean?
Kind of like, I think we need to take into consideration as well too that like these people who are a part of that church. So here's what I think. All right. So I think that Jehovah is working for a bigger demon called Moloch. I believe Moloch is what the higher ups worship, and I believe Jehovah's kind of like his understudy, masquerading in the form of Christ. So I think, like the Holy Spirit and all of that, I think when you let it in, because, okay, so what happened for me to even get to that church was I ended up having a mushroom trip that almost killed me, another psyop, right? And then I was so sick after I got a very bad UTI, and the doctor prescribed me the wrong medication. So then I was sick for weeks. So when I was at my weakest, I reached out to my friend because I was so desperate. Why does this thing need permission when you're at your weakest? Because it's a fucking demon. So when I'm on my deathbed feeling like I'm never going to get better, it slips in. It took me so long to pull that parasite out of my crown. It slipped in. That's the other thing. I can see these things. I can actually see, like you said, the spirits behind it. So as soon as I let it in, it festered a parasite.
I hate to interrupt, but like the doctor gave you the wrong medicine. That's not a coincidence. There's no way.
No, it's not. So that I suffered. Michael, I was in bed for 2 weeks, every 15 minutes, chugging water, going to pee, coming back. I literally was like, not to be TMI, but I'm like pissing blood and chunks of skin because he just gives me the wrong meds. And when I went to a different doctor, he said, these aren't even for UTI. I don't know what he was thinking.
Wow.
So, and the thing that set me over the edge was my fucking esophagus, and my back hurt so bad from chugging water so much that I was set over the edge. And that's when I reached out, and then I let that fucking demon in. It seeded its parasites deep in my crown, and it went from crown to root chakra. COVID is a different parasite that attaches to your spine as well, and it goes from root to crown. I can talk about that after, but so then I joined this church and everything, and I want to talk a little bit about like the perceptions, because if these people are working for a bigger demon and the thing driving them is the quote unquote Holy Spirit, but it's actually a negative entity masquerading as the Holy Spirit or whatever, it's going to drive their experience. So it's going to set up certain situations to basically, it's like a gaslighting partner, right? It's like a narcissistic and abusive relationship with a spirit, just like we have a narcissistic and abusive relationship currently with the government. So you can have a full beard and be like, I'm Betty now, and I'm gonna go jack off in the women's room, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like that's not the truth. That's a perverted truth. And so I want to give an example too. So when all the BLM stuff was happening, I wasn't a part of that. I was a part of protesting the lockdowns, and BLM, I assume Antifa, came through one of the protests we were at. We had children there. I had a 3-year-old on my hip.
Wow.
I had, my friend had her 1.5-year-old, and she just goes, put your hands out like this in peace, because if they attack us, we're literally doing peace, like, and so we'll be able to prove. And they're like posturing at us, they're calling us names, they got in my face and called the 3-year-old I was holding a pussy, like all this horrible stuff. I'm thinking I'm gonna get shot, I'm gonna have to run down this giant I'm planning my escape, like I'm having this horrifying experience. Whereas I'm me, and they take any chance they can to try and hurt me, to try and take over these NPCs, hop in their bodies when they're feeling this low vibration, this anger, this rage for these bad things that have happened. The creepy things jump in and then try to attack me. Whereas one of my good friends went to a very normal BLM protest. She said it was wonderful, that they were praying, that they were doing all very Christ-like, right? So it's like, that's her truth. She had a Christ-like experience with that, and I had a Luciferian experience with that.
Right.
And so it's not the truth. Like, the truth is probably that most people are coming from a good place, wanting the same thing, right? But the false truth is the polarity.
Yeah, no, that was very beautifully said. I like how you were able to take two different experiences and what you both got from that. And that's very revealing too. I want you guys to know, while Dutchess Divinity is telling you everything she's telling you, she is breaking down what it's like to have Pluto oppose your sun. Like, that's what it's like to face the collective. And because we're not taught about collective dynamics, it's hard for people to understand that a spirit can influence what individual people do to affect one person. That person, like that doctor, genuinely may not have tried to hurt you. Like, he probably had no idea he was influenced to give you the wrong medicine.
Exactly.
So, like, and this is how so much of this is just misunderstood. Now you have water signs like Dutchess Divinity attack, and like nobody, little to nobody having sympathy. But this, I mean, I feel like this is to bring out that courage, because you overcame. You didn't play victim. You might have felt down, but you never stayed there. And now you're a voice of courage to, help people identify these things too, which I think is super.
And it was good for me as well, because I already had a mistrust in doctors, because I've been fucked over my entire life by doctors. And that was what gave me the ability to say no during COVID, and to say that these professionals don't know what the hell they're talking about, because I've experienced time and time again of being betrayed by these doctors. And I do want to say as well, the reason that these entities are able, in my opinion, from my research, to jump into these people are drugs, alcohol, fluoride, poor diet, the nanobots and the V's, like the list goes on and on. So like you said, that person and that soul doesn't have a personal vendetta against me. However, their body is in such a state of disarray from the constant poisoning of everything, the food, the chemtrails, everything, that it's so much easier for these entities to slip in and wear them like a meat suit to get their job done, and then pop right back out.
Yep. Within moments that are imperceptible to the brain to even like calculate. So most people wouldn't even perceive it. That's why I respect Pisces, because Virgo helps you analyze this in a real basis. Pisces and Sag will show you beyond the physical. And this is what makes it God level, the collective level. And yeah, she's cooking, y'all. So
Thank you.
We're definitely going to bring you back on. There's a lot.
I'm loving this. I love having someone to talk to about it.
Oh, absolutely. I think we could cook up a series and just kind of work out and just talk about certain things, because especially you have a lot of imposter Jehovah vibrations. I feel like Yahweh, Jehovah, in its true purest essence is that entity, but then you have the imposter vibes who take on a name, who kind of use that collectively to do that, and I do believe that as well. But let's actually get to the Green Fairy ritual. I'm very excited.
Sounds great.
I just opened the box right here. All right, I got my I actually, before, I got some brown paper bags, but I decided, why don't I just use the brown paper bag that I got the absinthe in? So
perfect. And I can't believe you found it. That's amazing. Such a blessing.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And crazy synchronicities on the way there and back. So Definitely looking forward to this. So this is personally supposed to be a simple spell for opening up money. Like what could you explain what this candle is for first?
So, okay. So, I'll explain. I met the green fairy because when I do my little, I do a lot of group spell work, and I like to have cute pictures for my website because I'm an artist, and so I just like that kind of thing. And I found the green fairy, and she supposedly, I was doing research, and she supposedly always shows up when men would be drinking, men specifically, would be drinking absinthe. And so there's not a lot out there on her, but the more I researched, the more I found the men would have the same experience where they drink a certain amount of absinthe, and then she kind of like appears out of the cup and gives them whatever messages she gives. And so I was like, okay, then this is definitely an entity, and I want to tap into her. So then I started to go, I live in New England, so there's a lot of forests. So I always feel the fairies and the elementals in the forest. And I went out to the forest, and I just started talking to her, and she was like, yeah, like I can help you. I can bring you money. Like that's what I'm good at. Because all different spirits have different forte, right? So like Venus, I work with her for beauty because she's the goddess of love and beauty. Right. And so she was just telling me, money is my forte. So then I channeled a bunch of stuff from her that she liked, a bunch of offerings that she liked or different things. And yeah, I do a lot of spell magic, a lot of jar magic. And so I have my jar too. I'm going to do one as well with you, but I made a bunch of these for the shop too, if anybody wants to get one for themselves as well. But yeah, so jar magic is a really nice way to kind of condense an altar into a very small space. So like if we were going to do a regular ritual, we'd have fresh food, and we'd have everything out on plates, and we'd have the candles and everything. This is your entire spell inside a jar, your entire altar inside a jar and condensed. Oh. Yeah, so it's good for small spaces or people who are not allowed, like you said, maybe they're being brought up Christian or something, and they're not allowed to practice this kind of stuff. This is just a decorative jar, if you want it to be to other people. So, yep. So there's a bunch of offerings in there. I make potions, and I make this bomb green fairy money and magic potion that like I put it on, and within the day I'm like making sales. So my potions in there, these were blessed and put on my altar for several moon cycles. And there's all the offerings that you need are in here. And then I told you there's a couple other things that we're going to add so that you can personalize the spell to yourself, and we'll go over everything. I'm really excited.
No, most definitely. I have the link to your YouTube channel in the description box below. I was going to ask if your website is there, and I don't see it. So I'm going to update it. If you look at the description box below, guys, I'm going to update it with her website, DutchessDivinity.com.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so basically, make sure you subscribe to her and whatnot. But yeah, you got me very excited. I got the absinthe. I got some sage and Palo Santo. I'm gonna use this as the trinket. I think this is like a rose quartz crystal.
Perfect.
I got this candle. I didn't have a red pen, but I do have a pen with this.
That's fine.
Cool. And then
red just makes stuff work faster. So okay. I have like a lot of knowledge about witchcraft because, like I said, I've been alone a lot of my life. So I think that happens to a lot of spiritual people, because then we have to dive into like our research of this, because if I was distracted by people, or if my family believed in all of this, I would never get anything done. So yeah, I'll break down everything and why we're doing it. And then also I did create a class that I'm really excited about. My elementals are your G's. That's funny. G is actually a synchronicity for me with one of my like higher selves. But yeah, so I have a whole class where I break down my communication with the green fairy, and it's not just the green fairy, it's a whole elemental class. So I go in depth on how to connect with and work with the green fairy, gnomes, goblins, trolls, and leprechauns, and it works in all parts of the world. So whether you're in the desert or you're in the forest, I have the outlets for you to do what you need to do.
So that's what you actually gave me. So you actually gave me my own jar. That's awesome. So you actually did the work of making the jar, and now I just have the jar version. And it came with a candle too. This is awesome.
Yes, so everything, exactly, and that's what this one is too. I just don't have the stickers for it yet because I had to make some new ones. But yeah, I did all the work for you. Exactly.
Thank you. That's awesome. I love that. And
I'm just gonna cover my head because I always cover my head before I do spell work because I'm just super sensitive.
So okay. Do you know why this is very important? This actually mirrors certain Christian and religious beliefs, which I think outside of Christianity, there's a reason why women do this. So the science behind this is women's glory is their hair. So you cover up the hair when you do kind of spiritual work. I guess not to distract angels or whatnot. I don't want to use that as a reason. I just like the fact that you felt the need to cover your hair, and I respect that. I think that's a thing. I think that's very much a thing. Not in the way where you kind of do that to limit what women can do, but you felt that that was the need to do that, and that's very key. I'm going to really remember that. But I like that. This is already done. I definitely might do a series with you where we can like break down how to do witchcraft for beginners so that we can learn how to make jars and candles and spells like that. But this is beautiful. You have this on your website, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to order.
And I just put up some new ones. So guys, just be mindful. The new ones I put up do have peanuts in them. So if you have a peanut allergy, then wait for the next round of jars. I didn't think of it when I went to get the stuff to fill it because peanuts are great for money. Any nuts are great for money, but peanuts especially are good for money. So just be mindful of that. I don't want to put anyone into anaphylactic shock.
You told me that I needed a penny, but I see you have a penny, but I see you have pennies in the jar.
Yeah, I just wanted you to put your own. And by the way, yours does not have peanuts.
Oh, cool. I'm not allowed to do that. It's good to know. All right. So you wanted me to put my own coin in the jar, basically.
Yeah. So basically what we're going to do, I'm going to say a prayer and set our intentions if that's okay, because that's always what I do.
Let's do it.
And then, yeah, we'll go over everything and I'll explain why we're doing the things that we're doing.
All right.
Okay. So, yep. I always say, sit back, relax, and be open to receive. Benevolent guides, guardians, ancestors, angels, star family, higher self, Yeshua, Baal, Ra, and God's source, I humbly come to you today on behalf of myself, Michael, the peace dealer, and all those watching this video and all those who will watch this video in the future. And I just say thank you for everything that you bless us with. We are so grateful for all aspects of life, the ups, the downs, the challenges, and the lessons. We understand that all of this makes a very well-rounded individual in this polarized reality. And for that, we say thank you. And I ask, please, that I be a messenger for the divine, nothing more, nothing less. I ask, please, that all the ritual and communication and information that comes through me comes from the source from which all things come, and let it flow through Christ's consciousness. And please grant me access to the Akashic record so I may give good and accurate information on this spell. And I want to call in the green fairy, specifically my friend and my co-worker. I love you so much. I'm so happy that you prompted me to send this jar to Michael. I'm really excited about the conversations that it's starting and about the work that we're doing together. So thank you for making this suggestion. And I call you in now so that you can grace us with your beauty and your wonder and your fun, light energy. And I ask, please, that you bless us with financial abundance. And I also ask, please, that you show up in signs and synchronicities, not just to Michael and myself, but to those watching this video. If you feel called to work with them and they feel called to work with you, let it be known. And I ask, please, that you do something crazy for us. So like for me and Michael and anybody else who's open to having something like crazy in a good way, something kind of mind-blowing happen. Give us that aha moment. Give us that moment where we can't deny, where we can't say, oh, it's just a mistake, or oh, it's just a coincidence, that you're connecting with us in some way or blessing us in some way. And I pray all of this with the purest of hearts and the best of intentions, only ever for the highest and greatest good of myself, Michael, and all those watching, the highest and greatest good of humanity, and the highest and greatest good of this universe. Amon Ra, Ashe Namaste, by the power of three, so mote it be, always works, always a blessing.
Let's get it. That was beautiful.
Thanks.
I feel the airship too. It's so much clearer. That was beautiful.
I get like high off my prayers.
I love that. That's what's up.
Hi, Teresa. That's another longtime client of mine. She's awesome. Both her and her sister. I've got a pair of sisters, and I think that's so cool.
I love that. That's so awesome. So let's see.
Yep. Okay. So we'll get right into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rip a little piece of paper. Oh, are you pulling cards?
Yeah, I wanted to pull a tarot card. I got the Ace of Swords. That's beautiful.
Sick.
It's quite clarifying. Oh, and the Ace of Pentacles. I like that. I like that. I really like that. So you want me to rip a piece of paper from the brown paper bag?
Yep, and you want it ripped on all edges, like this. So whenever I send, because some of the stuff that I send has petitions with it, and you always rip it on all edges because you don't want any manufactured energy to be on the petition that you're working. You want it to truly be your energy or the practitioner's energy from which you're getting it. And also, here's a little tip too: whenever you get those jar candles from the store, you should always cross out the warning with marker and also the barcode, because the barcode is quote unquote the mark of the beast, so you don't want to be manifesting with it. And then the warning also, it can affect your manifestations negatively because it's bringing fear in on top of whatever petition you're doing.
Okay, cool.
And we're at 11115 was when I said that. Minutes.
Right. What kind of, so do I write the petition now or do I wait until after we get started?
We're going to do it now, and I'm going to do it with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to write down our petition. So the green fairies in general, oh, everyone's like, I have goosebumps. That's awesome. I'm hot because I'm channeling. I freaking sweat when I channel. Right. Okay. But, so the green fairy likes vaguer petitions. Most fairies do because they're kind of vague. So not just.
I love doing vague. That was because I wanted to do something vague, but I wasn't sure if I had to be specific. So thank you. You just let me know that right now.
And it's funny because remember, she was like, give this to Michael. Like she came to me and said, give this to Michael. So she must already see herself in you in some way to want to work with you.
Okay. I'm so glad that you mentioned the vagueness because I was thinking of what I would write, and I'm not really the type to go too specific. Like I like to kind of give a general area, but you made a point to say you want to be a little vague.
Yeah, because if you make it too specific, then Spirit's going to have to jump through all these fucking hoops. Right. And it's also no fun. Fairies, they like it because they want to have fun. They want creative.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So what
you're opening up space for them to co-create too. Like, you know, this is what I kind of want. And they're like, okay, I'll see what I can do for you. And then I like that. I really like that.
Yes. And that's why in the beginning, we always set our intentions for like the highest and greatest good. That way it's like, we don't give them too much leeway, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But I like to work with like financial freedom. Like that's the energy I really like to work in. So you could even just put that, or like for me, I'm working on manifesting a piece of land so I can build on it and then bring people together for retreats. So I'm probably going to do something to that extent.
So I just write those words?
Yeah. So do you feel connected to the idea of financial freedom?
Absolutely.
So then you would just write financial freedom. And for me, I'm going to put, I also like to put legacy as well, because that's something that's important to me. And then I'm also going to put my land, like nothing crazy specific. And actually, I'm going to grab my potion.
So we're sending a petition to the Green Fairy.
Yeah, we're talking directly to the Green Fairy right now. And the thing about the Green Fairy is she likes to have a relationship with her devotees. So you can be personal with it. And like later tonight, I would suggest having a conversation with her. Like I would suggest just introducing yourself and listening to what you hear and stuff like that. And she's going to help us.
I love that. Yeah, to make it more personal, because one thing this is really bringing to my attention is that personally, it's exposing the ways she prefers red pen, by the way, but you call into the Cat Moon with Legacy, right? I noticed that in the way I used to pray before was very naive, and it's why there was a huge disconnect, because it was hard for me to kind of make sense of balancing both, in that sometimes it's like I would expect these beings to solve my problems or want them to do things that now in retrospect, it's like you're connecting with an actual being. And it's like you wouldn't ask your friend, hey, could you fix my life problems for me? You know what I mean? But right. So I kind of like more co-creative. You know what I mean? It's like it's more. I'm saying that because it's vague, but it's like it's not like there's a limit to what I can petition, right? Or there's
and it's like a boost. It's like, and rather than them fixing your problems, it's like they're boosting it. So maybe it's like they put you in the right place at the right time. You meet the right person, and then you have a new financial opportunity, and now you're making double because you met this random person on this random day, and the Green Fairy made that happen, Or even this collaboration. Like, I know this collaboration is going to help both of us, which the Green Fairy orchestrated,
Yep. I love that. I'm putting in mad petitions. The kind of ideas I have and like stuff that, to me, it's like, okay, we can collaborate on this. I'm just putting the stuff that I have goals on that, to me, I'm putting her on the cabinet now. It's like you're part of our team now. Like let's see what we can do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said I kind of look at myself as like the CEO that's employing a bunch of different entities. And the thing I want to say too is not all entities want to work with all people, or you might decide you don't want to work with some, or you might want to decide you want to work with some later. So in my class, I talk about how, like, if you're not prepared to have a relationship with the Green Fairy, like a friendship with her, then you can start with the gnomes. And then I give examples of how to do that, because they're a much softer energy and they want so much less, like they don't want, it's not that they don't want to connect to you. It's like they're not going to take it personal if you don't.
I have chills, by the way, because this just clicked for me right now, because I have Moon, Neptune, Capricorn. And it's not something that I've tapped into the most, because Moon Neptunes are able to connect with the fairy kingdom, connect and communicate with the fairy kingdom. And now the Green Fairy reached out to you and be like, hey, hook me up with Mike. So it's like, this is crazy. I just never knew how to understand that. Like, there's a whole fairy kingdom. What the fuck? But like, yeah.
Oh yeah, the elemental. I did the most bomb fucking meditation where I took people, and this was another thing that it was like I had amazing confirmation, because I will do group meditations, and I took my clients to the fifth dimension, to the realm of the elementals. And when we walked through, I was describing everything I saw. There were like dragons flying by, there were unicorns running, there was these little mushroom people. Well, one of my clients saw the mushroom people before I even said it. So that was like, she was literally seeing play by play everything I was seeing. And so it's like a lot of people are connected to these realms, and she actually has past lives connected to those realms, both gnome and these other little elemental things. I don't even know what their names are, but I did a past life reading for her. She'd had dreams of the little things that I saw from her past life that I don't know what their name is, but so it's a lot of people have these connections, or they're getting the dreams, or they're getting the synchronicities, but they don't realize it because, like you said earlier, there's no fucking language for it, and there's no teaching to it,
Yeah. So it's like we're literally kind of, I don't want to say making it up as we go, but we're like putting the bookmarks in there and having at least some kind of basis or whatnot. But
we're revealing it. We're not making it up. I, for whatever reason, have a deep connection to the Akashic records, and I can see, like you said, the truth. Like, I will channel people's past lives that they will have had dreams about already, or they will have had, you know, seen it in meditation, or even how I saw you. Remember, I went into hypnosis and I saw you on that fucking horse in a cloak and everything, and you were like, I can't believe you just said that. Like,
that was such a huge confirmation for me too when you said that, because my Chinese zodiac is actually the metal horseman too,
which is crazy because like I wasn't expecting. I was just sharing the information because I thought it might activate your DNA in some way, and that's what we're doing, right? Like, that's what I just did for you. I put a piece together, activated your DNA, and
I needed.
I'm sorry, what?
I needed to hear it at that time when you said it.
Yeah, and I'm just awakening a part of you that you already know. Like, you already know that. It was asleep.
Yeah, I love that. No, totally true. Totally true. The way you said that too. So I got my petition written.
Perfect. So now what you're going to do is you're going to sign this, and I want you to sign it with a signature that if you're about to hop a timeline right now, so either keep the same signature you have or have had, but I recently started doing this, playing with my signatures to hop different higher timelines more quickly. So you're going to sign that, and you can put any other symbols on it that you feel connected to. So if you feel connected to the cross or the Ankh.
Yeah. I put the Saturn and the infinity.
Perfect. I'm going to put one on mine too, because I do like the infinity, and Saint Germain and the violet flame.
Oh, I like that. Keep a separate log of these events and maybe write a book about it, because not a lot of people know about the fairies and the mushroom people. And all these things do add up. That's what I realized. Like, there's certain entries we make that when we come back, it's like, oh, I forgot. And it ties into this and blah. So, yeah.
And that's why I love having my platform, because I learned so much from my clients. Okay, I guess I'll give this example of that girl. She was these little orbs. They were pink, green, and blue, and they're coral keepers. And so they're elementals. They live in the 5th dimension, and their only job, this made me feel so happy, their only job is they go in a circle, and when they go in this circle, they emit this little frequency, and it's like this song, and it opens a portal into Earth's oceans, and then they hop on coral, and they suck all the bad stuff out of the coral to bring the coral reefs back to life. And then after they do that job, they go back through the portal, and then they just sleep. And that's like all they do. Like, imagine, like, what a good life, you know? And so I didn't know that existed. And now I feel happier. And like you said, I can't prove this, but I believe it. And so I'm like, okay, like, at least something's being done about the coral in the oceans and the other realms, you know, without breaking the law of intervention.
Love that. And I mean, the belief is such an important mechanism that I'm mistaken for. There's blind faith, and then there's belief. Belief really activates the magic, and it's so simple, but if we can be convinced that, oh, it's not to be believed in, we're literally just robbing ourselves of magic.
Yeah, and even I was like, what the fuck? Like, when I channeled that, I was like, huh? And then I told her, and she was crying. She sent me an email. I was like, I'm crying right now. I've had dreams of this. Like, this is my dreams. And that's happened so many times with my clients, where they will have dreamt it, they will have seen it. I have a fucking client right now who's so cool, who's having a twin flame experience, and her eyes literally changed to her twin's eyeballs in front of her mother. So she had a physical shape-shifting event and experience in front of the woman who birthed her, who was like, why do your eyes look like that? Like, those aren't your eyes. So I'm having these experiences every day that prove to me that what I'm experiencing is real, you know?
And once again, like, being a Cancer sun with a Pisces moon versus, for example, a Virgo moon is a really interesting dynamic, because, you know, I've known a couple of Cancers with the Virgo moon, and both of y'all are very psychic. Like, the Cancer is still there, but I would say the Virgo moon is, I guess, a bit more analytical versus but still psychic, versus Pisces moon, like you're literally tapping into people's dreams. But it's very, very, very mind blowing. And yeah, we got the signature. We got
Okay,
that.
perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some of my twin flame potion, or I'm sorry, not twin flame. That was a Freudian slip. My my green fairy potion.
That came through out right now. This might be a twin flame ritual then. Cool.
What'd you say?
We probably might get some twin flame results. Something like that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna add some of my green fairy potion, and I also have crossroads potion. So I actually make this with cemetery dirt from a crossroads cemetery, because the idea of a crossroads ritual or working, or a road opening working, it destroys blockages. So I'm adding like the money, and I'm also adding the blockbuster. And if you have do you have a potion?
Okay, so Darius is someone who I've had on this channel, and he's been teaching us how to make conjure oils. And so he sent me an ascension oil that he has on his site, and I put the ascension, I dripped some of the ascension oil into the jar. Just to kind of
perfect. And so what you're going to do on your petition is you're going to, sorry, I keep putting it like out of the camera. You're going to put it in the 4 corners. So you did rip it. So just roughly do it. 4 corners. So, and then you're going to put 1 in the center.
Any liquid.
What?
Of the liquid?
Yes, drops on the petition, and the reason we do this is called a fixing pattern. So it's like, you can understand that because you understand fixed signs. When you have the 4 corners in the center, it fixes it and it solidifies it. So it's kind of taking that idea of as above, so below, and fixing it into the so below.
Nice. Cardinal directions. I love that. Okay.
Yep, and like the elements too, like earth, air, water, fire, and then spirit is the center. And okay, so then we're going to take that petition. This as well, if you feel comfortable with it. I know that like some people who are Christian and stuff don't necessarily like to use their DNA and stuff, but I'm gonna spit in my jar because that's my DNA, and I'm saying this is mine. And also, I want like generational wealth, so it's like taking that DNA and making it go along. Yeah, you can put your hair.
Perfect. All right. Awesome.
And then you're going to take your petition and you're going to make it face you, and you're going to fold it towards you because you're folding this in. If you wanted to banish something, you'd fold it away.
Okay.
And then after you fold it towards you, you're going to fold it to the right, and then turn it towards you, and like fold it again towards you. And you're doing this in a clockwise motion because you're bringing it in. You're not sending it away.
You see now, I'm all there. I was trying to be so slick. I was just like this.
I did see it.
That was hilarious. Yep, that's crazy. Okay.
And then you're just gonna put it in the jar when you're done with that.
Okay. So I fold it once clockwise, fold it again, and then do I fold it anymore?
If you want to fold it more, you can. Mine was just a small piece of paper, but make sure whichever way you're folding it clockwise, so you're bringing it in.
And then I put it in the jar.
Yep.
Anywhere in the jar. Perfect.
And then I actually brought $1, so I'm going to, I know I didn't tell you to do that, but I'm going, let's get our smoke going too. Let's get our smoke. So
I do have an extra $1. Does it matter?
You have $1?
Yeah, I do have $1 in here.
Perfect. I actually love using dollars as petitions. And so you can write a little bit more on the dollar. If you don't want to write anything on it, you can just put that signature that I mentioned before. And then you'll do the same thing. You'll anoint it with the potions, and the same thing, the clockwise folding. And I'm going to use my Palo Santo on it because we want to cleanse away any weird energy that was like on the dollar.
Okay, so you're going to cleanse the actual dollar. Okay.
Yes. Because money goes through so many hands. And how I had spoke to you previously, how I've like dedicated my life to taking back the symbols. When we work with the dollar, we're taking back the symbol of money. I used to be poor and I hated money. And now I am not poor and I love money because money equals quality of life. And so I look at it differently like that. And I take back the symbolism. Like I was just wearing a fucking pentagram shirt with the Baphomet on it because I've shifted the symbolism. And I have a great video on Satanism that I will send you, my take on Satanism. And how it's
I'm open to my beliefs being challenged. A lot of the Satanism that I speak out against is the perversion of those ideas. Yeah, so I would definitely like, you know, a different insight on that. So Pisces rising, Janice, by the way, for anyone want to know, Pisces sun, Pisces moon, Pisces rising. Pisces
no, Cancer sun.
Cancer sun. Pisces moon, Pisces rising. Pluto,
Cancer Mercury too. So like how you were saying about being gaslighted, like I can literally read people's minds, and some people's minds I can actually telepathically read, which is why I'm good at the readings. I realize I have telepathy.
Mercury and
That's
Cancer.
why I can do these love readings and tell you what your person's thinking because I'm literally tapping in telepathically.
I love that. It's very beautiful the way you said that too, especially like the it's like you can hear the nuance in people's emotions, so it's easy.
Yes.
The logic. It's very fascinating.
And which makes it extra annoying when people are lying to me.
You can hear it. You can literally feel it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or like when people don't want to express their true feelings, like if someone's secretly jealous of me or someone secretly is like falling in love with me and they're not expressing it, it's like really annoying.
That's crazy. And then you also have Pluto Scorpio, so that's the whole grand water trine. Wow. All right, slipping that dollar in there.
All right, I was lacking a little bit. So also with your penny, what I want you to do right now is I want you to have a little conversation in your head with the green fairy while you hold your penny. And I'm going to do my little petition. And I like using the dollar too because I really love what America is supposed to stand for. I don't stand by this administration and I don't stand by the current state of America, but I stand by the Constitution and what the founding fathers wanted, which was freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And so I like working with the dollar because it takes that energy back. It takes the symbolism back, especially of like the all-seeing eye and stuff like that, because you're taking your energy, and if you're coming from a pure place of genuinely wanting freedom, liberty, justice for all, then it's helping to shift that energy.
So while I'm talking to her, because I'm sharing gratitude, I'm kind of going over the stuff that I had petitions for, but just more in a like talking to it like partners or friends way, instead of a please do this, this, and that, which feels very wholesome too. It's like I'm not just speaking to some imaginary being. It's a lot more personal now, and I really like that. And then do I put the penny in the jar after?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm blabbing, so I'm falling behind. Sorry.
It's all good. We got time. Got the stuff lit.
Yeah, you can smoke yourself as well. Oh, and two, if you ever like to burn ancestor money is great. Always make sure that you're folding that, doing the same thing that I told you, like folding it towards you and clockwise so that you're bringing in the money. Okay. So like even with that, because like she and I are already friends, and I will talk to her later tonight, like I'll have more of a conversation with her, but she just showed me like this gorgeous land, like what I want. And it's like that in her giving that vivid image in my mind, I know she's catching my drift, you know, of what I want.
That's awesome.
And then I have some clover that I'm going to add because I have a clover plant. So I'm just adding that for luck. So I'm a little bit extra. And then you can take your little trinkets and you can add that in as well. And this is specifically the trinket.
That's your Instagram, right? Dutchess Divinity?
I'm the Dutchess lady on Instagram. I'm private because I'm like half naked and pole dancing. But I'll accept people from this live.
You be going in too, you be going in on them dances too.
I can't help it. I'm dramatic and weird.
Weird. I love it.
But someday when I have my land, it's all going to make sense because I'm going to have a fucking stage, and I've seen it. I've seen myself on the stage in these crazy outfits dancing to like, I'm going to have all sorts of different like live music and all sorts of different, like people are going to know me, not to sound like braggy, but I've already seen it. I saw my YouTube before it took off, and it took off, and I've already seen that like, I'm going to have a party spot. It's going to be fun.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so then you're putting in your little trinket, and this is like your gift directly for her because fairies like the little, and she'll like that because it's like shiny. So when you're putting it in, you can tell her like, this is for you. I got this for you. She's like any woman. She wants to know that she was like special and thought of. And then I guess the last thing that we do is we'll add the alcohol, but I'm going to hold my jar, and if you want to hold yours too, and I'll just say one last prayer.
Just to say something real quick, I love that you said that, like, in learning how to do like this craft and whatnot, it taught me a lot of this. Like, if I get good at doing this, I'd get good at dating any woman, because it's like, you have to get the right material. You have to put an offering. You have to make a petition. And now it's like, do I want to get her this cheap wine? Do I want to get her this? And if you know how to like do that, I feel like it's not that different from taking someone out on a date and like kind of
that's very
getting
true.
her roses and flowers and stuff,
That's very true. And like how I was saying before, like some spirits work well with other people. It's kind of like the same thing with people, right? Like if you do that for someone and they don't appreciate it, then that's not the person for you,
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And also like how I was saying, like the gnomes really just want their little offering, and then they don't really care. But it's like the green fairy wants to know you. And so it's like when you're working with different spirits, like for example, I had Zeus come to me years ago, and I wasn't prepared to create a relationship with him because you talk about the Zeus archetype all the time with that like Sagittarius energy. And it just wasn't something I was able to handle at the moment, especially because like I was working so heavily with Medusa and I didn't know how well they would get along. So he came to me and I was like, it's kind of like a job offering, right? He comes, he offers, and I'm like, no, thanks, not right now. And I recently just started working with him because I have the time, energy, and boundaries to put into working with him.
Yeah. You definitely need boundaries for Zeus.
You really need boundaries. I also just started working with Baron Samode, and he wasn't a spirit I could work with either because he's such a trickster that I didn't have the healthy boundaries to work with him.
Who?
Baron Samode.
Baron Samode. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's like a crossroads spirit. He's a cemetery spirit. Like, he can be super tricky. I saw this funny fucking video of this girl, and I believed her. She said she went to the cemetery and she was petitioning him and Mama Brigitte, which is his counterpart, and who's also Bridget in like Celtic lore. And she said he appeared to her and told her to get on the ground and that they were gonna fuck. And she said she dropped to the ground so fast and spread her legs and fucked Baron Samode in the cemetery. And I believed it.
That's exactly how it would be like too. Yeah, that's exactly his energy from it. Because I feel like he goes by different names. I don't know if Papa Legba is kind of like a correlation.
He's similar. He's his friend. So yeah.
So, okay. But like that sounds like some cemetery action. Like, I'm not even gonna, yeah. That's very freaky. I like that.
Yeah, so I had to make sure I wasn't finna drop on my back and spread my legs working with this guy. You know what I mean? I had to prepare.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so so I guess I'll just say a prayer, and if you want to hold your jar and think about what you want, and I'm gonna think about what I want. So green fairy, we bring you these offerings. I made this beautiful jar for you, both in mine and Michael's hands. We have pure hearts. We want wonderful things for the collective. We want to make a change in the world. We want to awaken the masses, and we want to make this world a more beautiful place. And so we bring you this offering, and we offer you this friendship and this connection to work with us, to help us gain the financial freedom, expansion, and abundance to be able to live out our dreams and make the world a better place. And we're just so grateful in advance. We know that our prayers have already been answered. And so I just say thank you. Thank you in advance. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for being our coworker. And thank you for connecting with us and helping us to make our dreams come true. Amora, Ashe Namaste, by the power of three, so mote it be, always works, always a blessing.
Woo!
Woo! Cheers! And now we can add our alcohol.
So we put it in the jar. Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. So, because that bitch is going to drink right up. She's going to drink it right up. Spirits love glitter and alcohol.
So
and tobacco and sweets, all the stuff that is like.
I was wondering why tobacco is heavy. So basically, do I pour it until it's filled up completely to the brim, or?
Leave like maybe like an inch of space, and then you'll be able to see. Sometimes you can watch them drink it. So when I leave a cup out, I will watch, it'll have a rim like of the original spot, and it will slowly drain. So cool. I'll show mine too.
So, and then I can always put more in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm also, I have absinthe, but I'm also going to add a little bit of Sambuca because I'm Italian, and this is what my Italian ancestors like. And the Green Fairy also likes the Sambuca because it's another star anise alcohol.
You said you want to leave some space in there?
Yeah, because you want the spirit. The reason you're doing that is you want the spirit to come into the jar. She needs space to come in and like drink it up.
I have a little bit left. I'll save the last half for another refill. So basically, if I wanted to refill it, I wouldn't have to drain it, right? It's just going to kind of dry up.
No, it'll drink up on itself. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Like sometimes you might have the physical experience, sometimes you won't. But either way, you don't have to do anything. Like we've blessed and we've prepared this jar fully. The only thing you have to do now is add more alcohol if the alcohol goes down, and then also you'll feed it. So you're feeding this as like a portal to the realms to open them. So that's why I gave you the tea light for yours, because now I'll grab a tea light too. And you can also do those little cone incense. You can feed it with that, or if you want,
you're feeding it with the candlelight or the incense. That's how you're feeding it.
Yep. So we're giving her the libations through the alcohol, and think of this like they just showed me like the Tamagotchi. You remember those? How you have to like feed him and like keep him alive or he dies.
Yeah.
It's like that. The jar is the physical representation of the spirit that you're working with. So you want to keep it filled with the alcoholic libations. You can put a glass of water next to it if you feel like she's thirsty. She'll tell you what she wants. Okay. You'll be at the grocery store and there'll be like a cupcake or something, and you'll hear her be like, "Ooh, I want that cupcake." So then you get the cupcake, you put it on a plate next to the jar, you give it to her, and then I'll explain the other part with the offerings after, because after then you would release the offering somewhere. So
I was about to say, like, when do you know when to put the food away and all that? And then someone asked, can we put more petitions daily?
If you want, you just don't, because remember, fairies like it vague, so you don't want to overdo it. So if you're like, I want land, they might be kind of annoyed, So think of it like how you said, if you're talking to your friend, if you text them and you're like, hey, like, you want to go out to dinner? And they're like, yeah. And then you text them like, you want to go out to dinner? And they're like, no, I already said yes, I
like that. Okay. Shit, I'm definitely interested. The cap is like, all right, practical wizardry.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Someone wanted to know how my cat Moon was doing, and I'm enjoying the practical wizardry. Since it's step by step by step, I'm like, okay, we cooking here.
Hell yeah.
I got the alcohol filled up here, and then yeah, I'll probably put like I'll put like a glass of water, put it on my altar next to the jar.
Perfect.
And
you're gonna want to let the tea light burn down, so that's gonna be a full feeding. So this is like an hour and a half. That's feeding your jar adequately. And so what I like to do is I make this other stuff. I'll send it to you the next time I send you a package. But I make these wax melts called fairy food. And so I burn those wax melts every day, and it keeps a steady stream of income coming into my business. And so you can do the same thing with the jar. You can keep a steady stream of income by feeding it every day. And like I said, she's not asking for much. She's asking for a tea light, a cone, incense, whatever. This is the main offering, but you're just feeding the offering.
And that's what a lot of fear mongers say. So they'll be like, "Oh, you can't do this because if you stop giving offerings, then these people will start to get vengeful and they'll start to fuck stuff up for you." And now I'm starting to realize that's just fear mongering. It's really just it's like taking care of a plant. When you feed the plant and take care of the plant, it grows. When you don't, the relationship just isn't as, augmented. And not to say that there aren't entities who might be negative like that, but I think it a whole lot more is just discernment and knowing who you're working with and being properly, psychic self-defended and all that.
And that's why I say not every spirit is for everyone. And when you were saying that, it said 1, 4, 4, 4, and 4 is connected to Christ and also to foundations. And it's like you have to know who you're working with, because you have the same risk when you're getting to know a person, right?
Yeah,
like you could meet a person and start investing in them, and then you stop, and they could if you're dating them, they could fucking slash your tires or do something crazy, So it's the same thing. And it's also like, that's why I said, like, you don't want to work with certain spirits if you're not ready. Like, I didn't want to create a relationship with Zeus because I didn't want to piss him off, because I wasn't in a place to have a proper relationship, And even like I work with Lubana recently, Filomena Lubana. She's like the La Dominadora Santa Marta. I did the 9-week novella to know her probably 2 years ago. And I met her, and she told me she said, I need this, 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 and this. And I said, all right, I'm not equipped to give you the relationship you need right now. Let's talk like later. And so I just started working with her a couple weeks ago, because I can give her an accurate relationship that she wants now. But someone like that, like Lubana, she will get vengeful. So it's like, but it's the same thing, right? Like with me. So like, if you were to, not you, but if anybody were to fuck me over, be my friend, and then fucking ghost me and, just do all this fucked up stuff, I'm going to be angry, So, and it's like, you should, like, even that guy who like slammed on his brakes and I felt my spirits go after him. Like, you don't know who you're fucking with. It's the same thing with people, the same risks you run, but that's why you have to know the spirit before you just connect with them. And the fact that you said you already have this predisposition to connect to fairies, she said to me, I want to work with Michael, which means she already favors you. If a spirit comes to you, that means they favor you already, or they like your work and they want to be a part of it. It's just like people.
Okay, that's awesome. This is very exciting. Okay. Cool. I love that. And that makes it a lot more personal. And now, because I've always used to be very disconnected from understanding it. It's like I only understood it in concept. And now I can be more aware to noticing them communicate and seeing these synchronicities. Because a lot of things I'll think is just my thoughts, and it's actually me, communicating. So do I burn this now?
Yeah. Are you gonna be home to like leave it lit?
Yeah, I'm gonna be home all night.
Yeah, then I would say start it now, because we're already worked the energy, so you can go ahead and light that. And then the other thing that I've put in your bag. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The other thing I put in your box is an offering. So I want you to take that offering somewhere in nature near you. It can be anywhere really that you feel a connection to the nature around you, and you will speak to the green fairy, because she likes to have a physical food offering in nature. So whenever you have what happened?
What was it that you sent me?
Was it in there?
Oh, that's what this is. Okay,
Yes.
this stuff right here.
The bag of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
a bag of oh, I see it now. It's like this bag, right? Like all this
Yeah.
stuff. Do I want to
Those
offer
are all
this?
offerings for her.
Okay.
Yo, it just glitched so hard when you brought it up to the camera.
Right? Yeah, it just started glitching. Oh shit. That's the first time it glitched too. So
remember I asked for her to do something crazy
right
and,
after
like,
I lit this. Right after I lit this. That's crazy. So I want to actually donate. I want to offer the whole bag, right? In nature?
Yes. So do you have a spot you like in nature?
There's a mountain range that I like to go out right by me, Red Rock Mountains. So
you can find her at the top of a mountain. So she probably found you. You probably went out on that mountain and she was like, oh. And then she probably followed you home or something. And see, that's the thing, is like these things are around all the time. So she probably followed you home and was like, oh, I like this guy. Or she tapped into your energy on the mountain and was like, oh, he's doing some cool shit. And then she was like, oh, wait, Dutchess knows him, you know? That's why I say I'm like the gatekeeper, because I work with a lot of spirits. I know a lot of spirits.
So what I can do, it's a little late. I'm sure I'll have access tonight, but I might be able to just go tomorrow and to offer. Does it matter if I do it tonight or tomorrow?
No, especially because you don't want to leave your candle burning and you don't really want to break the energy once you started burning the tea light. You want to leave it. So tomorrow is fine. And also, is tomorrow Thursday?
I can actually, there's somewhere I can go tonight that's kind of near that mountain area. It's like a desert area close to the mountains. That's another place I could think to put
I think you should wait to go till Thursday, because Thursday is Jupiter day, and Jupiter makes everything bigger, and it's also lucky. I don't have to tell you.
That's perfect. And how do I do that? So I basically just speak with her, and then I just drop it out in the mountain area like I'm offering it. Perfect. That's awesome.
Yep, and I like to make my offerings pretty. So I'll like make like a grid or something, or I'll make it like look nice. And then if you want to add to it, you can write a petition on the brown paper bag or $1, and you can burn it. She likes when you leave. I don't know if it's dry in the desert, if you're allowed to do that. But
I do stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So when she gets her offerings in nature, she also likes a burnt petition, because it's like the as above, so below. It like sends it right up.
So I'll write something down. I'll burn it. I like that. That's kind of intuitively what I do. So like this place right here, I'm really retarded with it. Like I'll write something down on a piece of paper, burn it, and just throw it out there. And like,
yeah, that's witchcraft.
The witness. So that's what. Okay. So that's just like really. I'm glad you said that. It's just like innate. Like I feel like I'm releasing the intention through burning.
A lot of us have compulsions to do witchcraft. We just don't realize that it's witchcraft, and you have to think, where's that compulsion coming from? It's coming from an ancestor or an angel or someone that's encouraging you to do it. You know.
I love that. That's so awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna offer this tomorrow. All right. I'm going to put this on my altar. I'm going to fill
She's
water.
So happy because I can like feel her, and she's like, she just looked at me, she like nodded, like finally. I feel like she's been trying to get through to you for a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the fairy kingdom stuff I've kind of suppressed because it wasn't logical enough for me. Like I didn't know how to make sense of it. And I felt like I had to know this, and that. And that's kind of what it feels now. Like a floodgate has opened, and like I feel like misty and cool.
Good.
It's kind of weird. It's interesting. But like, yeah.
And this is what I do for people, Michael. It's like, it's so cool, and it validates me, because I'll make people feel stuff that maybe they never felt before, or like experience something that they never experienced before. And then it's like such nice validation for me in what I'm doing too, you know?
And I like that you said I kind of have unconsciously been shutting it out. And
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. Oh my God, so many people do. Skeptics, some skeptics are some of the most psychic people that just don't want to deal with it.
They just call they have so much synchronicities, they just call coincidences. My mom was here and she had me throw away all my tarot decks, all my crystals, all the gifts that I had for a long time. I was going to do a whole tarot giveaway, but she had convinced me to kind of get rid of that. The reason why I was okay with that was because to me it was spring cleaning. I just had so much stuff over the past years that I just never touched. But like, yeah, I couldn't throw away like the deck that Forest Fairy Tarot gave me. I kind of kept that personally.
Good.
Like, yeah, like, it's kind of representing kind of starting from scratch and knowing more a lot of these, how to see a lot.
And what I want to say about that too with your mom is like how we were talking about the perceptions. So it's like, and she's being driven, even though she's probably working through Christ, she's being driven through those perceptions of thinking that it's evil.
But like, she kind of gave me that program where like Spider-Man, all these, and there's truth in what she was showing me. Like all these symbols out here are kind of attached to certain demonic things, but unlike where they see it as evil, we just kind of see it as just like symbolic language. Some of them are used for evil, but I just don't think that it's all evil. I don't think that like having sage or crystals is going.
And also it's the intention, right? So like the symbols themselves, a lot of them were sacred previously. So the perfect example of this is the swastika. The swastika had a completely different meaning before Hitler took it over. And so it used to mean like peace and tranquility and all these like wonderful things. And then he took it over and it represented death and destruction and all this terrible stuff. So it's not that the symbols are evil in themselves, it's that the intentions have been skewed. And if I know anything about the powers that were, not the powers that be, because they are no longer in power, and that's very clear, is that they love to pervert things. They love perverting everything. So that's why I say I've dedicated my life to taking back the sacred symbols, because they are sacred to begin with. And when I put my energy into them, I'm using them for good. And then I'm also shifting it around to try and give those symbols more power for good, because the more people who take them back, the more light they become. And if we stay away from them, then they're just going to stay evil, because that's the perversion that they're moving in right now,
Intention. I totally agree. A lot of it is intent based, and having the right energy going in is everything. Most definitely. Woo! And yeah, like Harvest Rose Tarot said, we'll definitely work up on a series we can come back and like share. This is definitely really fun. Unlocking the magic. We could even call it that. Who knows? So yeah, the blend of spiritual and astrological is really beautiful. Yeah, my friend, this is really awesome. I took the jar and put it on my altar in my room, so it's being charged with that. Basically, I guess
I feel called, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I feel called to tell you to keep an eye on the fire, because like how I said, there's a lot of fuckery. I just saw that it's like you need to be careful with the fire in your house, because I just feel like there's things just waiting to fuck you up.
No, you're right. And basically, I guess after I feed it that, all I want to do is to just periodically feed it like the candlelight or the incense. And then whenever I feel like I need to refill the jar with more, I can do that.
And I would say give it 3 days. So usually when I petition the Green Fairy, it takes like 3 days for me, but I've been working with her for a while. So let's say you have like an event coming up and you want to make a lot of money from that event. Start feeding the jar. Give it extra too. Like if you're going to an event like that you want to make, or whatever you're doing that you want to make extra money, give it extra. But like how I said, keep a steady stream coming from it. Just feed it like once a day. If you can't do once a day, every other day. And you can buy big packs of tea lights on like Amazon, or you can go get the little boxes of the cone incense. Those are cheap.
The cone incense, I really love those. Yeah. I'll get both. I'll get a pack of tea lights and cones. And I guess I can keep that jar for as long as it lasts.
Yeah, she just said too, she's going to help bring you your cat.
Nice.
It's going to have black on it. I don't know if it's going to be all black, but it's going to have black.
Okay, I don't mind. See, that was a huge thing, because I was like, I want a cat, but now I don't know if I should go pick one or if I should just let it come to me.
Like, I think it's going to come to you.
Okay. Like if the circumstance, arises and whatnot, I wouldn't mind having a black cat or whatever kind of cat. But yeah, that's kind of what I feel like it'll be like.
It might need to be rescued, because sometimes spirit will give us that lesson to check your integrity. So like if you find a cat, or so here's an example of one time my integrity got checked. I was driving and a fawn was in the middle of the road and it couldn't move, because I learned later that when fawns are born, they can't walk. So what happened was the deer just gave birth in the middle of the road, and then I turned around. So I was like, what the fuck was that? It looked like a cat, but it had hooves. And so I turn around and there's this car that's like speeding right next to it. And I'm like flashing my lights. I don't want to watch it get smushed. And then it missed it like by just a hair. And then I ran out in the road. I picked him up by his little armpits. It was like the size of my cat. It was such an incredible experience. Like, I did the right thing and I remained in my integrity, and then I was blessed with an experience. I may never lift up a baby deer again in my life.
That's
and
wild.
Then I took it to the woods and I prayed over it, and I was praying because I thought it was hurt, and I was doing Reiki on it, and I was like, let it live if it's meant to live. And it started bucking, and it like bucked into the woods, and it was just crazy.
Like, knowing in context you are the divine priestess, like that is such priestess stuff to do. I'm sorry, like it's like you're meant to be there at the right time, and then you bless the, like, that's wild. I love that. I love it.
But then right after that was when Baal started coming to me, and he came to me with a deer head. But like he came to me in the form of like having a deer skull. And so I felt like my integrity was checked. I made the right choice. I saved this innocent life. I had a beautiful experience, and then it opened up karmic doors for me. So like you might be faced with a decision to save an innocent, like save a cat. It might be like kind of dirty or like stray or whatever. And it's a question of where's your integrity, you know?
I remember years ago, like over a decade ago, like I was just kind of frustrated, I guess. And it was unrelated, but like in that moment, I was so extremely intense. I was like, I'll never chase a woman again. And a black cat came up out of nowhere and started purring on my leg, like purr, purr. I was like, oh, and then it just clicked for me, like, oh, is that the attitude? And it was so strange. It came out of nowhere, just purr, like I was the sexiest thing ever, and then just walked away, like, what the fuck? So
you don't chase, you attract.
Yeah, no, quite literally. So
the jinn are also known to come in the form of black cats. So that could have even been a jinn that was like.
I have to be on the way it happened right after I made that feeling. It felt like it didn't feel natural. It was just so perfectly timed. It might as well have been a jinn. Like I don't know what else to say. It's like it responded to what I thought and said.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of matrix glitches, so I feel like that kind of stuff is going to be happening even more. Like I was laying on the grass talking to my sister, and a plane just disappeared. Like there was a plane above my head, and I could hear it and I could see it, and then it was gone. And I was just like blinking. I was like looking all around. I stood up, I walked around, and I was like, what the fuck? So I just
cloak. Right?
Yeah, that was like maybe like 4 days ago. So I feel like we're gonna be seeing more stuff like that. Like you said, like the cat coming out of nowhere, the plane fucking disappearing.
That's super wild. Well, okay, so I'm going to offer this Thursday. And then thanks for letting me know how to use the oils too. I've been wanting to kind of spruce it up. So other than that, Dutchess, thank you so much. We're definitely in touch.
Thanks for having me.
Oh no, absolutely. It's great to see, we got to cover a bit of what inspired you to kind of come on this path, what you kind of had to deal with, and we'll kind of brainstorm how we can work on this series or come back or whatnot. But if there's anything you ever want to come back and speak on, just shout out to me. That's totally fine. And is there any final words of wisdom? I do have your Instagram, I do have your website and your YouTube page down below for anyone who wants to subscribe and show her love. But how can people reach out to you for services and what else do you want people to know?
So you can find me on YouTube. I have hundreds of free videos on there, and then you do everything through my website. There will be occasional times where I will do like impromptu offerings or stuff, which will be you just pay me through PayPal or Cash App, but that's very few and far between. Mostly everything is done through my website. You can get readings with me, like tarot readings, whatever you want. You can get past life readings. I do a lot of group spell work. But yep, YouTube is my main platform. You can look at my testimonials and different things on my community page. And I also have a Patreon. I do have the Instagram, the Dutchess Lady. But yeah, that is it. And I guess let me think of like words of wisdom. I guess what I would say right now is what I've gathered currently is that there is no collective timeline. What I've gathered, what I've channeled, and what I understand right now to be is, like Michael always talks about, the apocalypse cycle. And I think that the world leaders are all on their own different timelines because they're all vying for power since the queen died. I think there's no set direction and there's no collective timeline, which is why they're trying to get us in fear with the wars or like different things. Even like when the whole Roe versus Wade thing happened, that was just a harvesting of your anger and a harvesting of your negative energy. So I would say be mindful of the harvesting events because they feed on the negativity like food, and put your energy where you want it to go. And instead of focusing on a collective timeline, I would say focus on your own personal individual timeline that you want to create. And how Michael also says, like, get fish tarded, because when there's no collective timeline, the possibilities are endless, in my opinion. You're so welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm excited to like connect with new people.
I think that was a beautiful message. Don't get caught up on the other timelines. And that last part too, like, the worst thing we can ever ask is how long, and to just stay in the vision, live in it, and allow things to be to unfold. You know, please make sure you subscribe to her, show her some love. Thank you so much. I feel pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie, like the energy shifted or whatnot. So I'll keep you posted on what occurs or what happens. You guys stay blessed as always. All right.
And I'm gonna say too, maybe people could leave suggestions in the comments of like if there's certain stuff they want to hear us talk about of this video, they can leave suggestions.
Please do, and we'll definitely incorporate that. You guys have a blessed weekend and Mercury Day, and until next time, peace out, y'all.